Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are playwright Jack Pinter. Jack Pinter is a multi-hyphenate with a career in television, film, and theater. We can say he's a playwright, a lyricist, a storyteller, a composer, and a musician. So let's start at the beginning, Jack. Where were you born and raised?
Sure. So I grew up in Great Neck, New York, a stone's throw from New York City, in kind of a bedroom community, a suburb.
And where'd you go to school?
Well, I went to high school there, and then I went to university, not too far away, in Wesley University in Middletown, Connecticut.
That's in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And that puts out all these great talents.
Yeah, it's a great environment. It's a great liberal arts university.
Why is it?
I know. When I was there, it was known as Diversity University. And it was just a very open place that just allowed individuals to flower, I think. Is
it small?
So yeah, only 2,400 kids.
Oh, it's very small. And you came from a small high school in Great Neck?
About 300 per graduating class, so about 1,200 in the school.
Yeah, so it was about the same. You just took one notch up.
Exactly.
Huh? And did you come from a showbiz family?
I wouldn't say I came from a showbiz family, but my father was a pianist, and he had grown up in the Great Depression and worked as a musician, and then he was a high school choral director.
Oh.
And he was constantly playing tunes on the piano downstairs, which happened to be right underneath my bedroom. So I would go to sleep and hear him play these fabulous old tunes.
And you said he was playing show business tunes, right? So you had this Broadway thing, right?
Yeah, I think it just sort of seeped in from the environment. So I grew up listening to these tunes, and I would go to the productions that he would do in high school.
Oh, was he doing musicals?
Absolutely, yeah. These so kind of high, like Damn Yankees and
he
Showboat.
Was.
So
choral director isn't just like straight choral.
No. He was doing musicals, and I think that just became part of the reality that I was surrounded by.
Wow. And then did you sing? Could you sing?
I wasn't a singer, but I was a musician. I grew up, I played the clarinet and the flute and the saxophone.
Oh, I wondered what instruments you played.
So I got a great steeping in musical education.
So did all of this composing or writing there's so many things that you do. Did it start in high school or did you start at Wesleyan?
I think it started in high school. And I just, I grew up in a creative environment, and I think that possibility of being able to perform and to write was just in my environment.
Well, were you acting too?
No, I'm not an actor.
You're not an actor, but you did 6. I mean, you spent a lot of time in England. Why were you in England so much?
Okay, so I ended up working my first career as a musician. I went on tour, and that took me to Europe.
And what were you playing?
I was playing Evita, actually, on tour.
You're kidding. In the orchestra?
That's right, in the orchestra.
And what were you playing? Instrument?
I was playing, again, saxophone, flute, and clarinet.
Oh, how great! So you toured from New York to London, to Europe, all over Europe with Evita. Mm-hmm. My favorite.
Lovely.
I love that. Do you still play it?
I still.
Don't you love it? So you played. You actually did the classics at the Royal National Theatre?
Exactly. So I've done a lot of work at the National Theatre as a composer.
And also the Orange Tree Theatre in Richmond, which is like an outskirt.
Yeah, just on the edge.
Marlowe Theatre. So you wrote a children's musical, which is called The End of the Orchestra.
I did.
What does that mean?
Well, it was just really another way of introducing instruments to kids. But doing it in a musical format.
And what did you do?
What did I do? I just wrote, again, a series of songs that introduced...
about each instrument?
Yes.
Is that right? And then who performed it?
And then it was just performed locally in London.
And were just regular actors doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you wrote music for films then? Did you stay in London a long time?
Yes. I first lived in Germany, and that's where I met my wife, Kate Beals, who's a theater director who's British. And that's how I ended up
And she
moving
was
to London.
working in Berlin?
She was working in Hamburg.
Oh, she was working in Hamburg.
Mm.
Is that a big theater place?
Every large city in Germany has its own state-run theater, which has a company and does a series of productions.
So that's great. So what were you doing there?
So I was working as a musician. We met on a production of The Tempest.
Oh, wow. There you are. Back to the classics again,
exactly.
right? And then they were all musicals?
No, this was just a piece of theater that had a small musical ensemble in it.
And then you played on that?
Yeah, she was the assistant director, and we met during that production.
And then besides films and TV, you wrote something for game shows that I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was just on tour with someone who was a guy, again, on tour somewhere in Germany, and he was writing this this game show theme, and he needed a lyricist, and I had actually written a song that he had heard, and he thought that was great. So,
so he used
this was a TV show that nobody saw, by the way.
But it was in Europe.
No, it was in the USA. It was
it
PBS. The only game show that PBS has ever done.
I know.
It was called Think Twice.
Did
you ever see it?
No.
Nobody saw it.
But what did you do? You'd written them.
I'd actually written a song for our bus driver on tour.
Oh, so he used it.
So he didn't use it, but he just thought, oh, this guy can write lyrics, so I'll get him to write this song with me.
So you collaborate on this. We're going to talk about Captain Greedy's Carnival. You've collaborated with Mr. Eno.
Yes, Roger Eno.
Roger Eno, the brother of Brian Eno. So did you know the whole family?
I don't know the whole family, but Roger and I toured a couple of times together.
As musicians?
Yeah, we toured with Marianne Faithfull. That's where we first met.
Oh, you did?
And then we also toured with Tim Robbins, who's producing our show.
And what was
here.
Tim Robbins doing?
Tim Robbins, about 6 years ago, made an album. As you may know, both of his parents were singers. And about 6 years ago, he made an album with some friends of mine in England. And then he decided to tour it, and I ended up in the band.
So you've been in the band touring all these places. So you're a full-fledged musician.
Full-fledged working musician.
Full-fledged working who's writing. What else are you doing? You're doing so many things.
Yeah, I work as a storyteller. I do a lot of work, again, in education.
Yeah, and, do you go to schools?
I go to schools, and I also do education in corporate settings as well.
Oh, you do?
So I've got that classic kind of portfolio career.
Oh, that's cool. So I think what happened, this is my own assumption, tell me if I'm wrong, you worked with Tim Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
You toured with him. He has this company called the Actors Gang.
That's right.
And he said, Jack Pinter, write a play.
No, it didn't exactly happen like that. Roger and I wrote this piece together, and we finished it early last year. And we were just looking at the U.S. election because it's a mock tribute to capitalism. And we were watching the rise of Donald Trump. And we just decided that it might be good to wait until after the election to kind of hustle it, not expecting that Trump was going to win.
Oh, and
but
it's
when he did,
Captain Greedy's
Carnival.
And how long is it, and what kind of music? And
so it's the music is set in the era of the Great Depression, and the piece is a mock tribute to capitalism. So we take this notion that our modern financial system, to make an allegory for that, it's like an old-fashioned carnival sideshow, where you go to a sideshow knowing that you're going to be fleeced, knowing that you're going to be deceived, knowing that you're going to be cheated, and yet we go anyway, and we have to engage with the system.
And what about the actors?
Well, the actors, it's interesting because we're taking this model of a carnival sideshow, which was a group of people who would work together, and for years usually. And the Actors Gang is just that kind of ensemble.
Oh, it is an ensemble, so it works out. And what does it look like, a carnival on stage?
It does. So we're just turning that fabulous space that they have at 97 Venice Boulevard and turning it into kind of a tent environment.
Oh, really?
So the audience comes into it as if it were a sideshow.
Oh, that's great. So then you have different, compartments or different areas on the stage?
It's really like a sideshow that you come in and you see
classic
sideshow acts, strong men, the fat lady, the freaks, the human oddities.
But they're all telling you this kind of...
They're all telling the narrative of the credit crisis and our modern financial system through this notion of a sideshow.
And since you worked so much with Tim Robbins, did he work with you on this?
He did, and it's been great to work with the company because I brought a piece in, and I think as a playwright, you think you have a finished piece, and then you have to workshop it, and through workshop, we've found a lot of different ways of telling the story and bringing it to life.
So we talked about Roger Eno, and does he do the same thing that his brother does, Brian?
Now, Roger Eno is not a producer. He's a writer. He's a fabulous musician. Has written a lot for TV and for film, and he's a fabulous songwriter as well. And he's a classic English eccentric, lovely man. It's been lovely to collaborate with him on this project.
Did you know him for a long time?
Well, I've known him for about the past. Yeah, we actually started this on tour.
And you were on tour. I see.
Together. Yeah.
But his brother is a
of course, yeah, world famous record producer.
Yeah, record producer as well.
Exactly, of course, played in all those iconic.
But
bands.
Like the feature.
Yes.
And
yeah,
you
Roger,
guys are in the orchestra.
Yeah. So Roger, he's a brilliant musician and a composer, and it's been fabulous to work with him on this.
So will Captain Greedy go to London?
We're hoping so. We're looking for the next production of it.
And then where else do you think it'll go?
I think Captain Greedy's Carnival can go anywhere where capitalism thrives, and where people think, wait a minute, is this really...
we need it in New York, right?
Is this really the best we can do? And the system that we have today, which is really designed to make rich people richer and, as we say, fleece a gullible public.
Did you write all the words? Did you write a lot? Did you have fun?
Lots of fun writing. And the piece is a fun look at this. It's a way of, as I say, is a mock tribute of poking fun at our modern economic system.
And the Actors Gang is great at doing things like that. It's a theater in Culver City, and it's a wonderful venue. I love going there.
It's a great place.
And I'm so glad you came to tell us about it.